Welcome to the Kotlin 2021 Premier Online event. Kotlin began 10 years ago as a bold experiment at JetBrains. It was a long shot that few believed could succeed. Yet, in those 10 years, it has become a stable, popular, and widely used programming language. Initially, Kotlin was developed just with a focus on the JVM, but other platforms were added as it evolved. Recently, Kotlin has seen tremendous growth because of its adoption on Android. So much that Android development is now primarily done in Kotlin. It means that other platforms are becoming important for the future growth of the language. Look at the server-side development. It is a complex field with very large and long-lived code bases and lots of developers. I'm very happy to see that despite all of that complexity, the number of Kotlin server-side users increased by 40% in a year. Kotlin grows, but the Kotlin mission has stayed the same. We are working to remove the barriers between your ideas and your code. This mission drives us to expand our work from the development of the language to the development of an ecosystem of multi-platform tools and libraries. Kotlin backends for various platforms form the foundation of the Kotlin ecosystem. Kotlin compiler frontend provides a common programming language for all of them. Libraries, frameworks, and tools build on top of the language to cover a variety of problem domains. Most of the announcements you'll see today are related to this ecosystem we're building together. We in JetBrains and other contributors are providing and supporting all the general things you need so that you can build domain-specific tools and libraries to fulfill your application's needs. As Kotlin grows, Kotlin education grows too. In fact, 25 of the top 100 universities in the Times Higher Education World University ranking already include Kotlin in their courses. They use Kotlin to teach a variety of topics: introduction to programming, software engineering, mobile application development, object-oriented and functional programming. Kotlin is a big open source project, and we're continuing to improve its development processes too. Just a year ago, we announced the new release cadence with 2 major releases every year. It means our contributions and improvements get released faster. We moved development of the IDE plugin to the IntelliJ IDE repository so it can adopt all the IDE innovations faster. We merged all the Kotlin compiler implementations, including Kotlin Native, into a single repository. It is now easier to contribute improvements to the language and to the standard library. It is also easier to test them and to ensure their quality. We are completely rewriting the Kotlin compiler that has organically grown with the language over the past 10 years. The new compiler incorporates all the architectural and design experience the Kotlin team has gathered. It will bring increased performance and will support the evolution of the language for years to come. Sebastian will tell you more.
Completely rewriting the Kotlin compiler has been a long and exciting quest for the Kotlin team. There were many obstacles to overcome, and the whole experience can probably be compared to climbing one of the highest mountains in the world. At least that's how it feels. This is also how we settled on the new name for this compiler, K2. The Kotlin compiler is responsible for turning your source code into executables. It can generally be divided into its front-end and back-ends. The front-end constructs a so-called intermediate representation, also called IR, by analyzing your code, which then contains all the semantic information of your program. Then the compiler backends use the IR to generate executables for the corresponding target platforms, currently the JVM, JS, and native. If you're using Kotlin 1.5 or above, you're actually already using parts of the K2 compiler. The Kotlin JVM IR backend is already stable and enabled by default. For Kotlin JS, you can opt in to use its IR backend, which is now in beta and is going to be stabilized soon. The Kotlin native backend has been using IR from the very beginning. We're also actively working on the much anticipated new compiler front end, and there are a lot of reasons for people to be excited about it. Most prominently, that is performance. While it's not yet publicly available, the team is evaluating the latest development builds on a number of projects, including the Kotlin compiler itself. And as you can see, for some of our own projects, the whole compilation process is on average 2 times faster. Improved compilation time will not be the only benefit. The frontend will also affect how fast your IDE can react to your typing, highlight your Kotlin code, and complete your statements, because it will become the basis for a new IDE plugin, which is what we're going to focus on next. The new frontend also unblocks a whole category of new language features that heavily influence the Kotlin type system and syntax. The team is planning to begin working on those as soon as the new frontend is available. These are things like having public and private property types, or multiple receivers, or multi-catch blocks. To learn more about those features, check out the Feature Survey blog post and the corresponding webinar recording. You can expect a preview version of K2's new frontend in the scope of Kotlin 1.6 and its minor updates. For more information about the K2 compiler as a whole, check out the videos published throughout this event, which provide more technical details and a look behind the scenes. The Kotlin JS IR backend, which has been in the works for quite a while, has managed to take another big step forward. It has reached the beta stability level, meaning the stable release is just around the corner. The new compiler is rapidly approaching feature parity with its predecessor, and we recently introduced features like source maps, which help to make the developer experience smoother. One of the most noticeable benefits of the Kotlin JS IR backend is that it produces much smaller JavaScript bundles. We expect to stabilize the IR backend later this year and want to make sure that transition is as smooth as possible for you. Thanks to the work of the Kotlin JS community, many of the most popular libraries already work smoothly with the new compiler. To improve your life as a Kotlin JS developer, we're also introducing a new plugin for IntelliJ IDEA, the Kotlin JS Inspection Pack. It comes with a number of inspections and quick fixes that make it easy for you to avoid some of the main pitfalls when you develop or migrate your application. And even after reaching the stable release, we'll continue to work on Kotlin JS, from further improving its performance to introducing new features. Because we are very close to the stable release, your feedback is especially important to us right now. So please try out the new IR backend and share your feedback with us. It's an exciting time to write Kotlin for the web. The team behind Kotlin for Web is also keeping in mind the long-term future and evolution of Kotlin and its interplay with web technologies. That is why we've gone all in on Kotlin for WebAssembly. WebAssembly has already been broadly adopted as a standard for building rich web applications by most popular browser vendors. Targeting WebAssembly means being able to write code that performs at near native speeds while still being able to interact with JavaScript applications and the same web APIs that are usable today. That is one of the reasons why we're convinced that WebAssembly is the next big thing in web technologies. We have a dedicated team at JetBrains that is working full-time on bringing the WASM target for Kotlin into reality by building an entirely new compiler backend. The folks working on this endeavor are also in constant contact with browser vendors and the WebAssembly working groups to take advantage of any new features and proposals as early as possible, and also to help shape the ever-evolving environment and ecosystem surrounding WebAssembly at all of its stages. While it's still going to be a while until Kotlin WASM will be ready for you to try, we're making quick progress and we'll be taking a detailed look behind the scenes and at its current state in the Kotlin and WebAssembly A First Look video during this event. Make sure to tune in for that one. You can already write powerful web applications using Kotlin.js today, and we hope that WebAssembly will be a great target to accompany and extend those apps in the future. Our whole team is proud to be developing a programming language with a powerful compiler that works for even more target platforms. Next up, we want to dive a bit deeper into sharing code between the different platforms supported by the compiler via Kotlin Multiplatform. Kate has more to tell you on this topic.
Kotlin Multiplatform is a powerful and flexible technology that allows you to implement code sharing in your product. There are multiple ways you can reuse your code on different platforms with Kotlin. One of the most popular ways is sharing the code between iOS and Android. Mobile applications have become a huge part of our lives, with billions of people using them every day. However, the development process for them is complex and often results in work needing to be repeated on each platform. That is why, a year ago, we released Kotlin Multiplatform Mobile, a technology that does away with the disadvantages of existing cross-platform approaches and improves the lives of teams developing apps including Netflix, Shopify, Philips, and many more. With KMM, developers all over the world have started to share code between mobile platforms, using iOS and Android features without any overhead, writing common code in their favorite language, and enjoying all the benefits of reusing code between platforms, even in their existing projects. Ever since the first release of KMM, we have been receiving questions about the stability of the technology and its future, as more and more developers want to use it as a foundation for their mobile projects to improve the way they develop them. And you'll be happy to hear KMM will go beta in spring 2022. That means you can use it and we will minimize migration issues for you. Here are just a few of the things you can expect. The beta version of KMM will include the most awaited feature in the KMM community, a new memory management approach for Kotlin Native. It eliminates differences between the JVM and native platforms and allows you to write common concurrent code without the headache for both iOS and Android platforms. The new approach allows you to freely launch coroutines using a multi-threaded background dispatcher without having to freeze any objects that work in background threads. It will be available under a feature flag starting with Kotlin 1.6. Future releases will be focused on a performant production-ready approach. We will continue to support the original Kotlin Native memory management scheme to simplify the migration of existing Kotlin Native applications. You'll be able to choose your garbage collection implementation when building your Kotlin Native application via compiler flags or Gradle project properties. KMM moving to beta means a smoother and more predictable migration process for your projects. This would be impossible without having binary compatibility between incremental releases for Kotlin Native. We have been maintaining the compatibility since last year, and all the releases from 1.4 to 1.6 are binary backward compatible. Libraries produced by any of these Kotlin versions will work after the compiler updates to a newer version from these release ranges. We plan to keep the compiler compatible with recent versions to minimize all the possible KMM project migration issues. When working with technology in beta status, nothing should distract you from completing your business tasks. Besides smooth migrations, that also means the developer tooling must be stable, robust, and predictable. Your IDE experience is the basis of your productivity, and we are putting a lot of effort into it to ensure your everyday work with multi-platform projects is pleasant. Another vital aspect of developing productivity is build tooling. To reach beta, we are developing a new architecture for multi-platform build tooling, including Kotlin Gradle integration. It will become a stable foundation for great future improvements. One of them is making the DSL for multi-platform projects more intuitive and concise, which should simplify the build setup and make it much easier to get started with KMM. The new architecture will open up more opportunities for library authors, making it possible to create multi-platform libraries that support all Kotlin targets with minimum effort and without having to worry about platform specifics. The revamped build tooling architecture in KMM Beta will make it possible to fast implement these and other features that will allow KMM and the entire ecosystem to grow at a tremendous rate. These were just the main highlights from the issues that the team is currently focused on. If you are interested in learning about all the technical details and important changes that we've recently introduced and that we are planning for future KMM releases, make sure to check out the video on KMM's journey to beta. Having the ability to share business logic is great. However, many teams around the world also want the option to share UI logic. In some cases, doing so can significantly improve the development process. Recently, we made a huge step towards unified UI development with Kotlin, Compose Multiplatform. With Compose Multiplatform, you can use the same APIs and declarative approach used in modern Android applications to create user interfaces for desktop and browser apps that are powered by Kotlin on the JVM in Kotlin.js. Using the mechanism provided by Kotlin Multiplatform, you can target any combination of the following from the same project: Android with Jetpack Compose, desktop with Compose for desktop, and browser with Compose for web. The Compose Multiplatform Alpha announcement in August 2021 was warmly welcomed by the community. And we have already received tons of valuable feedback from Compose enthusiasts who target web, desktop, Android, or all three at once. We are ready to announce that we are well on track for the first stable release later this year. If you're excited about building a common UI, now is the time to get ahead of the curve and to evaluate Compose Multiplatform for your production applications. Kotlin Multiplatform Mobile and Compose Multiplatform are vital pieces in the Kotlin Multiplatform puzzle. But mobile business logic and common UI across Android, web, and desktop targets are not the only code-sharing use cases for Kotlin Multiplatform. With its support for a variety of target platforms, combined with its power to tap into existing ecosystem and integrate with existing code bases, you can use Kotlin Multiplatform to implement code-sharing use cases that meet the requirements of your product. That is why more companies are starting to use Kotlin Multiplatform as a foundation for their projects in order to improve the way they develop their applications. Here are just a few of some exciting stories. At JetBrains, we've adopted Kotlin Multiplatform in many of our products. One of our most prominent examples is Space, our new unified platform for the entire software development pipeline. The platform has been built from scratch with Kotlin Multiplatform, and it shares code between the server and all the client platforms: web, desktop, iOS, and Android. As often happens, Space started to develop mobile applications later than the web version and was able to integrate most of business logic of the web version into the iOS and Android application. DownDog, a successful startup that brings a studio-like yoga experience to your mobile device, uses a maximum Kotlin strategy too. They share various helpers between clients and servers, a logic that's used by a server and in standalone tasks, and of course, most of the client code. Their team managed to significantly increase the app's development speed by keeping native-only views. Quizlet, a global learning platform, shares code between their iOS, Android, and web clients. They focus their efforts with respect to shared code on state management and control flow. This logic was migrated from JavaScript to Kotlin Multiplatform, drastically improving the performance of both their Android and iOS applications. Even though those teams and their products are very different, the flexibility provided by Kotlin Multiplatform allows all of them to benefit from sharing code. The technology is evolving, with more different use cases quickly becoming possible. You can use Kotlin Multiplatform in your project in a variety of ways, from sharing common code between servers and clients to sharing business logic between all the clients and even porting declarative Android UIs to desktop and browser. We believe in full-stack development with Kotlin, and we will continue to enhance its multi-platform capabilities by improving all the compiler backends, IDE support, and build tooling multi-platform support, as well as multi-platform support for all the core Kotlin libraries. No matter how much programming experience you have and what stage of development your product is at, now is a great time to give Kotlin Multiplatform a shot and experience the benefits of sharing code. Kotlin Multiplatform is becoming the technology of choice for many teams and complex products, all of which wouldn't be possible without the rich Kotlin ecosystem. With updates from the community at JetBrains over the years, the Kotlin ecosystem has greatly evolved. Here is Igor to tell you more.
Kotlin is made up of much more than just its language syntax and compiler. To translate our ideas into software, we need the proper foundation and tools. Kate just explained that the multi-platform UI is becoming a reality thanks to Compose Multiplatform, which hides all the complexity from the programmer, providing them with an easy-to-use declarative API. The same goes for other Kotlin use cases. The Kotlin ecosystem consists of different building blocks that can hide complexity and let us focus on the logic that matters. Those blocks are libraries, frameworks, IDE plugins, and various tools and services. Each year, thousands of new Kotlin projects are created on GitHub. This year, the ecosystem saw record growth. In the last 12 months, more than 250,000 Kotlin repositories were created on GitHub. No matter what domain or platform you build your application for, you will probably find all the components you need. I want to say a huge thank you to everyone in the community who contributes to the ecosystem. By doing so, you remove barriers between ideas and making code not only for yourself, but also for other developers. This year, we have had lots of exciting releases in the ecosystem, and I want to quickly highlight some of them. The biggest release this year is definitely the stable version of Jetpack Compose for Android, which is a modern declarative toolkit for building native Android UIs. It's a huge step forward from both a developer and a user experience standpoint. Arrow is a library for typed functional programming in Kotlin. It has its own big community who have all been eagerly awaiting the 1.0 release. This year, it was finally released together with multi-platform support. Spring, the most popular JVM server-side framework, is currently working on Spring Native. This project provides support for compiling Spring applications to native executables using the GraalVM native image compiler. This allows for quicker startup times and lowers the memory footprint of the applications, which is crucial for cloud services. Spring Native supports both Java and Kotlin and includes support for coroutines. Google, in close cooperation with JetBrains, has been working on Kotlin Simple Processing, a new tool for lightweight compiler plugins in Kotlin for reasoning about Kotlin symbols. KSP offers similar functionality to Kopt. It offers direct access to Kotlin language constructs and supports Kotlin Multiplatform. KSP is now stable, and some well-known annotation processors, such as Room and Moshi, have already ported to KSP and are seeing significant build time improvements in addition to benefiting from the improved support for Kotlin's type system. Coin is a light dependency injection framework that recently reached version 3.0. This major update brought Kotlin Multiplatform support and a more convenient core API to create tools over. Kotlin 3.0 also integrates well with Jetpack Compose, allowing you to inject dependencies into your application component. Corgi is a multi-platform game engine entirely written in Kotlin. It integrates with IntelliJ IDEA, has tons of features, and provides a great development experience. It recently reached 2.0 with numerous new features, including a bundle system and an integrated debugger. 3 years ago, Square converted their Okayo library from Java into Kotlin and released version 2.0. This year, Square reached a new milestone and promoted the library to version 3.0, making it fully multi-platform. This means that the Kotlin Multiplatform ecosystem now has its own I/O library. Apollo Android is a GraphQL client that generates Java and Kotlin models from GraphQL queries. Apollo Android version 3 is 100% written in Kotlin, generates Kotlin models by default, and exposes Kotlin First APIs. This release also supports Kotlin Multiplatform, which means it has become available for other platforms as well. We at JetBrains are also part of the community of library creators. Our contribution goes beyond the compiler and IDEs. We have multiple teams dedicated to developing both foundation tools for library authors and some domain-specific libraries. It has been a prolific year for releases from our side. Keynote is a multi-platform framework for creating server and client applications. It's very easy to get started with, has the flexibility to support many architectures, and is extensible when needed. It has recently reached version 2 with full support for Kotlin native on the server, a simplified APIs, and improved tooling. Kotlin is a framework that simplifies the serverless app setup and deployment process by putting all the infrastructure in code. Today, we're releasing version 0.2, which adds support for Microsoft Azure in addition to AWS, and lets you switch between those cloud providers by just changing a couple of lines of code. Apache Spark is a distributed computing framework that is usually used to process large amounts of data. This is one of the most popular tools in data engineering, and it's now possible to use it with idiomatic Kotlin, as we have just released Kotlin API for Apache Spark. This is the first stable and feature-complete release of the library, and it is ready for production use. Another emerging field for Kotlin is data science, and we've released lots of new tools in this area. Thanks to the Kotlin Notebook plugin, you can now run and edit Jupyter notebooks right inside IntelliJ IDEA with all the language support for Kotlin you're used to. When you encounter tasks that require data wrangling, like operating over JSON or CSV, you can use the new Kotlin Data Frame library. A lot of data-heavy tasks, as well as optimization problems, boil down to performing computations over multi-dimensional arrays. Multic is a library that aims to serve as a foundation for such computations. Kotlin DL is a high-level deep learning framework written in Kotlin and inspired by Keras. Out of the box, Kotlin DL offers APIs for training, fine-tuning, saving deep learning models, and loading them to run inference. The number of Kotlin libraries grows every year. We want to remove barriers between library authors and library consumers. We're working on many ideas in this area, and one of them is Docker, a documentation generation tool. I'm happy to announce that with Kotlin 1.6, Docker reaches beta status. Docker is a build system plugin that creates beautiful and easy-to-use documentation based on KDoc and Java.doc comments in a source files. Its primary goal is to make it easy to provide library users with comprehensive documentation. It's up to you to decide how you want to present the documentation to users. In some cases, you may want to use Markdown documents on GitHub, and in other cases, HTML pages. The key idea behind the Docker improvements in beta are usability and unification. We want developers to have a seamless experience when they work with Kotlin documentation, no matter if it's the official language reference or library documentation. Using a uniform visual style and structure helps reduce the cost of context switching. The new Docker uses the same UI as the recently updated Kotlin docs, which have already been beta tested and have received lots of positive feedback. To make Docker stable, we need your help. Install the Docker Gradle or Maven plugin, generate documentation for your libraries, and share your experience with us. Your own library website is just one Gradle task away, and now is the perfect time to make it. Kotlin was created as a tooling-friendly language. Right from the very beginning, JetBrains IDEs provided great assistance for writing your everyday code. Smart completion, move-into-name refactorings, and various code inspections prevent you from writing non-idiomatic Kotlin code. All of these features are enabled thanks to the static analysis capabilities built into the IntelliJ platform. It's nice to have it all in a personal development environment, but it's much better when you can use the same static analysis capabilities for building quality gates in your CI pipeline. There has been high demand for a Kotlin static analyzer from JetBrains ever since Kotlin was introduced. Today, I can finally announce that we've managed to do it. Introducing JetBrains Cardano, a code quality monitoring platform that provides free support for Kotlin projects and has just graduated from the EAP program to reach stable status. Cardano consists of an intuitive web UI and an IntelliJ static analyzer that runs all the inspections you're already used to. You can run it locally using a Gradle plugin or on any CI server by using either a Docker image or one of our integrations with TeamCity and GitHub Actions. Cardano helps your team maintain the same level of project quality regardless of the settings of individual team members. When integrated into your CI pipeline, Cardano analyzes your project codebase on each new commit and provides hints on how to improve your code structure and adhere to the Kotlin code style best practices. It detects anomalous code and bugs, highlights spelling issues, and eliminates dead code. Cardano already provides fully featured Kotlin support, so don't wait, integrate it with your project and benefit from improved code quality today. Static analysis is only one way of ensuring your code quality. Another way is by creating an extensive test suite for your project. But as many of you already know, there has been a problem with testing in Kotlin since the first release. It's been a challenge to measure code coverage precisely. There are some great tools like Jackaco that work with Kotlin code, but they're not integrated well with our Gradle toolchain and multi-platform projects. In this Kotlin release, we are starting to fix this issue. Introducing Cover, our new Gradle plugin that measures code coverage for Kotlin code built with the Kotlin JVM compiler. It works with all language constructs, including inline functions. It can be used locally by executing the corresponding Gradle task or on your CI server. Cover has not been built from scratch. It's a wrapper around Jackaco or the IntelliJ coverage agent, so you're free to choose the engine you like the most. Our tool output is Jackaco compatible, so it can be used with literally any third-party tool. For example, you can integrate Cover with GitHub Actions. On each new commit, it launches your test suite, measures the code coverage, and reports the final percentage and whether it has changed. The tool is still in early development, but you can already use it with your code. There are still lots of features to be implemented, so try it out and share your ideas and experience with us. If you want to learn more about the new releases in the Kotlin ecosystem, be sure to check out our event YouTube videos and subscribe to the channel for reminders. The creators of Cardano, KSP, Cover, Cater, and Spring will give in-depth talks covering all the amazing things that they've prepared for you. The Kotlin ecosystem is created by the community. It's for you to decide how it will evolve. You can influence it by creating new libraries and frameworks, using Kotlin in new domain-specific areas, and sharing your stories with the community in your blogs and on YouTube. We are looking forward to seeing where you will take the ecosystem, and we are excited to provide you with the stable and enjoyable foundation upon which to build the language, compiler, developer tools, and core libraries. A lot of announcements have been made today, but this is by no means the end. We have one more very special announcement for you in the last part of the presentation, so let's not waste any time and get back to Roman.
Thank you, Igor. So let's summarize. In this keynote, we've shared our progress on the new K2 compiler for Kotlin. Kotlin JVM and Kotlin Native are already in place. Kotlin for Web, both the JavaScript and WebAssembly, as well as the new compiler frontend, are coming soon. We've seen some highlights from the growing Kotlin ecosystem. You might have noticed the common trend of more and more Kotlin libraries and tools becoming multi-platform. That's no surprise. Code sharing between various platforms is high on our priority list. Kotlin is loved and widely used by Android developers. So I'm sure that you, watching this presentation, were excited with the announcement about when Kotlin Mobile Multiplatform will go beta. You might have noticed something else too. We have a new friend that helped us with this video, our new Kotlin mascot. Isn't it cute? Well, we don't have a name for it yet. We'll launch a survey and invite our community to choose a name soon. Also, we'll be releasing more in-depth videos as a part of this premiere event. They'll focus on the new compiler, multi-platform, server-side, frameworks, and tools. So subscribe to our YouTube channel and don't forget about that bell to get notifications. At last, join the Q&A session with all the event speakers right away. It will start in just a few minutes. Please don't hesitate to ask your questions. Thank you for watching. Stay safe and have fun with Kotlin.